Hi, I'm Ghada Gigi Benitez, and this is season 4 of the Dubai Connect podcast. So, when you think of Dubai, undoubtedly the images that first come to mind include the Burj Khalifa, the Dubai Marina, and probably one of the most iconic addresses in the entire globe, the Palm Jumeirah, which in fact you can actually see from space. So today, I have my partner in crime on the ground here to discuss not only Palm Jumeirah, but Palm Jumeirah 2.0, Palm Jebel Ali. Stay tuned. Ahmed, thank you so much for being here and joining me on the podcast today.
Always a pleasure.
You know, we have been spending a few weeks now. Obviously, before we had known what was coming up, but especially the past few weeks in Nakheel's office to really gain an understanding of what they are doing with Palm Jebel Ali, which is getting global attention. We see Ryan Serhant was just here
Indeed,
2 weeks
of
ago
course.
talking about it, and he's talking about it a lot. But I want to actually go back a little bit and ask you, Ahmed, weren't you here when they launched Palm Jumeirah?
Okay, before we get into depth about Palm Jumeirah, let's talk about a few fun facts.
Okay.
And to answer your question, was I here? Indeed, I actually was here to witness the first launch that took place in Palm Jumeirah was the apartment, the Shoreline Apartments. Back to fun facts. Did you know, Gigi, that Palm Jumeirah was built with millions of tons of rocks and sand? No concrete or steel was used to create the entire island. That's
I
one.
did not know that.
Exactly. You and a lot of other people. So this would be a great fun facts for our viewers globally who had no idea how the Palm Island came in effect. Number two, the amount of rocks and sand that was used to create the entire island, it equals to basically building a 2-meter wall wide around the globe 3 times. Could you imagine that?
And how long did it take?
It took roughly around 6 years, I believe, to build the
And how many years ago did they launch it?
It was in 2002 they officially came and launched it.
That's aging you a little bit.
Exactly, yes. That tells a lot of people how old I am. And they started off launching the project, the island, with the apartments, which are the Shoreline Apartments,
Okay.
and of course the 1,500 villas.
So tell me, Ahmed, actually, at that time, how easy was it for you to sell this project that probably so many people were thinking, what are you talking about? What are you selling me? This random space out here in the shape of a palm, right? What was that like for you at that time?
I still remember it as if it was yesterday, Gidi. Believe it or not, it was 2002, and as you know, I had just moved from the U.S. And we had a briefing, a presentation in Nakheel's office, and the sales pitch was, how would you like to invest in one of the 8th wonder of the world?
So that's at that time the tagline they were using.
8th wonder of the world. That's
Okay.
exactly what we were pitching at that time. And I was so amazed by looking at the island itself. Obviously, there was nothing over there at that time. And yes, it was challenging. And I had to pretty much excite people's imagination as far as what was going to take place there in order for them to have a piece of it. But Gigi, that was not really a challenge, to be very frank with you. When people found out about the island, Palm Island, it was a chaos on the day of the launch. Imagine the launches were still a chaos 22 years ago. So it's not just something you're starting to see in today's
Okay.
market.
So it was even back then.
Of course. So 2 of the biggest projects when they were announced and launched was one, Palm Jumeirah. The other one was Burj Khalifa. So yes, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. But people were standing in queues for hours, And by the way, at that time, Nakheel had sent out invitations to certain brokers and investors. So if you didn't have an invitation to come and purchase the unit that you're required, you are not allowed to get in.
Wow. So it must be so surreal for you to now fast forward 2 decades and see what Palm Jumeirah has become, where you have celebrities, right, that live on the island, that are purchased there. I mean, the Beckhams of the world and really globally renowned names. You have like the Royale, right, where Beyonce performed and spent, I don't know,
Correct.
they spent how many millions to have her come perform there. And it's really known on a global level as a very exclusive upper end for a very discerning buyer. This is not for everyone because obviously the prices are not cheap, which I want to ask you actually at that time, because I think this allows us to look at when you look at the history of waterfront coastline island in Dubai, then it also helps us to look in the future of what to expect in Palm Jebel Ali. So
Indeed.
what were the prices per square foot when they launched, and what has the trajectory been since then?
Well, Gigi, I'm about to blow your mind. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. Shoreline apartment, which was one of my first sales during the launch, a 1-bedroom, we were selling it at 600,000 dirham.
So that's under 200,000 US dollars.
Exactly. Where today, in today's market, in a resale today, you will find a 1-bedroom shoreline apartment somewhere around 3.5 to 4 million dirham. So yes, the prices have definitely increased.
And they continue to.
Of course.
It's
For example, we're just talking about the apartments.
right.
The villas, a 7,000 square foot villa at that time, the original price I remember we sold was at 4.5 to 4.7 million. Today, you're looking at the same villa selling for anywhere from 100 million to up to 350 million. It has capital appreciated almost 500 times. It's unbelievable.
And it continues because it's rare,
Of course.
it's unique, it's an exclusive. I mean, to be able to say your address is the
Yes.
Palm, right?
Indeed.
It has that flavor to it, right?
Of
that
course.
I'm sure.
Well, Gigi, let's bear in mind that Palm Jumeirah was definitely a blessing for the smart investors who actually had a history of real estate investment, who knew what they were doing,
Yes.
when to get in, when to get out. But definitely a curse for the newcomers who had never invested in real estate and had no intentions of long-term investment. And these are the people, or investors, I should say, who came in during the second phase. Meaning
Okay.
they came in when the capital appreciation, or that same 4.7 million villa, was selling at 30 million.
Okay.
So these set of new investors came in for a quick flip. So they came in and purchased them at 30 million. And unfortunately, that's when 2008, the global bubble crash worldwide took place. And these are the first people who took a massive beating and they exited out.
Versus
on a
holding
loss.
it and just waiting for the cycle to go through the cycle
Yes, Gigi,
and wait.
because I personally had my own investors, the smart investors, who did not care. They held on to their properties. They were already getting a nice rental ROI from them. They were calm because they've already been through that cycle back in their own countries where they've come from. So they knew what goes up must come down, but that eventually it must go up. And guess what? Exactly 4 years later, the prices came back to what they were.
and
So-
and even
and even higher, as you could see,
Exactly.
year after year.
exactly.
So yes, Palm Jumeirah was not everybody's game, and it was definitely not for the weak-hearted.
No, I like how you describe that timing the market, and that's why it's really important to work with a experienced real estate agent and an experienced real estate agent in Dubai's market specifically, right? Because
Exactly, it
the
works
same-
different than any
it
other
doesn't
country in the
apply.
world.
You know, like buying here
Exactly.
does not apply. I have my real estate license in California. It's a different strategy to maximize
Yes.
ROI and capital
Capital
appreciation in
appreciation.
California
Correct.
than it is in Dubai.
True.
And so that's why our combination works for our
Yes.
investors, because we
Exactly.
bring your experience, you know, we bring my American location and American certifications and my personality or whatever I bring to the table. But I think that it's really important that you said that timing the entry to it.
Yes.
And we see right now with Palm Jumeirah, it's still an excellent time to buy.
Of course,
We were
indeed.
just at Giorgio Armani's by Arada's
Yes.
showroom yesterday talking about that exclusive project. And you have penthouses that are, how much was it? 600
600
million.
million,
I mean,
exactly.
so it is one of the most exclusive areas in the world that anybody that you say anywhere, any celebrity, any ultra luxury investor, anybody would know what the Palm is, right?
Correct.
And by the way, fun fact is that Nakheel itself means palm, and there's a symbolic meaning behind what the palm symbolizes in this entire region, which is resilience and even more to that. And so the fact that it's by Nakheel, although there are other developers, you know, the master developers, Nakheel, and you have other developers on that island.
Correct.
The restaurants, the restaurants just at the casino, at the hotel. I keep on saying Casino Royale, but at the Royale,
The Atlantis.
the restaurants at the Atlantis, for example, some of the best restaurants in the world, right?
Sure.
And people watching on there, and then some of the other, just that lifestyle in the Palm is an elite lifestyle. Now, there are, having said that, and it's amazing, there are some challenges to the Palm Jumeirah that we know
Indeed.
about.
Yes.
And you and I were talking right before the podcast started that you can't hide them. There are some challenges such as
Of course.
traffic.
It wasn't always rosy. It wasn't a rosy picture for
Right.
Palm Jumeirah. There was a lot of challenges that Palm Jumeirah had to face because let's not forget, it was one of a kind, 1st time in history they had created such
You're
a
right.
thing.
I mean, it's the first time in history to
And
create
Gigi,
something
you
like this.
must give credit to Nakheel for pulling it
Yeah.
off, because I remember Ryan Sternhardt being here and he was like, wow, I wish we could do such a thing in New York.
But you can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they can't. It's
Yeah.
not their cup of tea. They
Right.
cannot replicate the same thing because they've never done it. So the experience lacks over there. So yes, there was a lot of challenges. One of the biggest challenges was to basically control the currents to hit the island, to the fawn itself. So that's why they created the crescent that you see where the Armani Hotel, as we saw,
Yes.
is coming, and of course where the Atlantis
Yes.
Royale is. So the whole purpose of the crescent actually is to protect the island.
I didn't know that.
Yes, is from the currents.
Wow, so
from
there's
strong currents.
so there's a whole strategic
Of
purpose
course,
of it, yet it
exactly.
looks so incredibly beautiful.
True,
Yeah.
exactly. And then, of course, if you notice along the crescent, one on the right side, there's a big gap opening, okay?
The brakes.
And then the brakes, and one on the left side. So there's total of 2. Now, the purpose of these brakes was in order to have a much more smoother flow of the water, of the seawater. So that way we would not struggle with stagnant water, which would be in between the fawns. But unfortunately, it was not enough. So we did see some challenges where there was a problem of the water circulation
Okay.
over there. So yes, during summertime when the temperature would get extremely hot, yes, you would feel a little bit the stench of the ocean and so
Okay.
forth on. And which is why they went and did everything they can with Jebel Ali Palm, where they would not repeat the same mistakes.
Yeah, actually, when we were in the showroom, we did a video side-by-side comparison of Palm Jumeirah and Palm Jebel Ali. So I will link to it in the video just for someone to quickly watch.
Exactly.
But exactly, I think that they learned the lessons
Of course,
to improve, and that's why they're calling it Palm Jumeirah 2.0, although I still fully believe Palm Jumeirah is going to be one of the most successful stories
course.
in the world, because just the location, where it is. But now, I mean, they are doing it. Isn't it twice as big now?
Yes,
with Palm
it's
Jebel Ali?
a Palm Jumeirah itself. The way it came into shape is very inspiring if you listen to their story. one of the second challenges that Palm Jumeirah faced was the entrance and the exit to the island. At that time, I guess Dubai had no idea how fast the population in this
Yes.
country or the number of
How could you have
tourism.
imagined that, though?
Exactly.
How
At
could
that
you
time,
possibly imagine?
Sure, exactly. I never did.
Right?
Imagine me being here 24 years. I never imagined we will be where it is today.
Did you imagine 24 years you and I would reconnect on this continent sitting and talking about real estate in Dubai?
So you cannot predict such
Yeah.
things. And unfortunately, that's what they had not done, was
Right.
to predict the traffic flow. So currently, if you go there, there's just one in and one out. And once again, going back to Jebel Ali Palm, this time they made sure there's one on one side of the crescent, one in the middle, and one on the far left of the crescent.
And what they did is that that end, what do you call that at the very end of it? There's no direct the crown.
Yes.
There's no direct
Directly
access.
exactly.
So I think, and we yet have to sit and wait to see what they have coming there, but they're very strategic. So
Exactly.
yeah,
They
something
don't put
exciting.
all their ace cards out in
Exactly.
one shot, which is very smart, and I
It's
prefer it that
absolutely-
way.
exactly.
One thing
It's
at a
exciting for
time.
us, too.
Exactly. So yes, so this was one of the second biggest challenges that people at that time were facing and complaining, of course, at that time. The third challenge that they felt was the quality of these villas.
Okay.
Most people, most investors thought at that time, and bear in mind, the ones who were complaining, the investors who were complaining, are the ones who came on the third wave or the fourth wave
Okay.
of a resale of these villas. So when you're buying a 7,000 square foot home on a private island with your own private beach right in your backyard, a 4-bedroom for $1 million US, Gigi, you cannot go wrong. It was literally, I personally feel, compared to the US, if you would buy something like this, minimum you would pay not less than 10 to 15 million US dollars. Here you are buying it for almost 4.5 million dirham. So for you to come on the fourth wave and buy the same house for 30 million dirhams, you cannot say that the quality is cheap. The first original buyers paid only 4.5 million. So they got what they paid for. So if you decided to pay 30 million,
Yeah.
you basically bought in during the hottest time
Yeah.
of the market. You bought it when it is already a trend. You bought it when the island is already fully operational.
Right.
So yes, this was one of the unfortunate complaints or the downfalls we saw at that time. But did that stop the capital depreciation to grow? Of course not. It didn't.
Because the numbers now are,
Are just phenomenal.
what's
They're-
the average? I think, isn't it 77 or 7,500?
Yes, around, that's the
dirham
price per square
per
foot
square
you're
foot.
looking at. Exactly. They started off like almost with 1,000 dirham per square foot.
So now, as we said, let's shift into the Palm Jebel Ali launch. Although there will still be other developers launching in Palm Jumeirah, and our
Palm-
viewers should still be on the lookout to see what's happening in Palm Jumeirah. I really am a huge fan of Palm Jumeirah. I just think that me as an American, you know, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, when you think of Dubai, you think Burj Khalifa, you think the marina, and it's Palm Jumeirah.
Palm Jumeirah.
You know, and I just a huge fan. But look at Palm Jebel Ali. And so as you just so eloquently discussed all of the challenges and the fact that you were here to experience them all adds just so much more to it versus me learning secondhand. But I learned the same thing. And now you look at Palm Jebel Ali, they took those lessons, poured them into Palm Jebel Ali. So now we have, you know, the 3 entries, like you said. We have, is it 5 breaks now? I
Yes.
believe 5 breaks
Yes.
to add for that circulation, not have the stagnation.
Exactly.
And then that crown is going to be separate access, more exclusive access,
Correct.
so that reduces traffic coming up there and not everybody can get up
course.
there.
Yes.
And there's now a beach, a private beach on both sides,
sides.
of the crescent.
Correct.
So, and it's twice as big.
Exactly.
So also it's in a different area. It's further south, right?
Yes.
Which we know, what does that mean? Now you're closer to the Al Maktoum Airport, which is going to be the
Correct.
largest international airport. And the government is spending billions of dollars on the infrastructure and the connectivity for that whole area. So reduce traffic, access, and connectivity to the rest of Dubai. I mean, Dubai is small anyways.
Correct.
So when someone says something like, isn't that too far out? And I can understand, because coming from the United States, maybe I would think the same thing. But then when you come here and you realize suburbs here are 20 minutes out.
Correct. True.
Unless you're stuck in traffic.
Exactly.
But to that point, there are vertiports, and there are going to be
Exactly.
the helicopter taxis, what are they called, that are going to be operational in probably
Yeah.
about 2 years.
Yes.
So, and Palm Jumeirah is already going to be like one of the stations for the
Exactly.
vertiport. So I'm sure Palm Jebel Ali
Anything
will
is
be
possible now.
in Dubai.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to have, what is that called? The pods that are going to transfer
Yes, I did
people.
read something like that.
Yes.
They'll have these portable pods
Yes.
as transportation. How interesting would that be?
I mean, it's just, Dubai is
So
the city of the
futuristic.
future.
Something out of a sci-fi movie.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, and then we know now Palm Jebel Ali. I mean, it is getting so much attention, and even in America, it's getting a lot of attention because, of course, we have the Ryan Serhants of the world that are coming here and seeing firsthand what is happening in Dubai. If you love real estate and you love iconic addresses,
Yes.
you know about Palm Jumeirah, and now you're going to start learning about Palm Jebel Ali.
Correct.
But let's talk a little bit more about Nakheel and why it's so important that Nakheel is the master developer behind both of these projects, because Nakheel has really shaped the skyline of Dubai,
Yes.
right? And being that whenever we talk about who the developer is in anything that you and I are trying to talk to our investors, our strong strategic investment choices, we talk about some of these that are the largest developers in the UAE, with Nakheel being one of them.
Correct.
And then Nakheel just recently combined with
Dubai Holding.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's actually one entity right now. They're all under the same umbrella, such as your Miras
Yes.
is also part of Nakheel right now.
And what does that mean to an investor?
Means that you have a much more sense of security because now they've always been semi-government, but now also they are backed up financially. So basically now you're not segregated as different developer or competing against each other. So to have them all under one umbrella, I feel they're much stronger this
Powerful.
way. Exactly.
Yes.
And one of the biggest concerns people, or I should say most investors always have, will there be a delay with our project handovers due to financial reasons or whatever the case might be? But financial reason will never be the case anymore with these three coming
point.
under one umbrella.
Very good point.
So that's why I believe everything, we keep always saying that Dubai always learns from other people's mistakes. And I think that's why Dubai's real estate market keeps getting stronger and stronger rather than having a bunch of hiccups throughout the way, is because we are not giving ourselves the chance to make those mistakes. And Palm Jebel Ali will be one of these examples to make sure that where they lacked in Palm Jumeirah, they will make sure that this one will be even more outstanding and stand out than the Palm Jumeirah itself. And Gigi, one of the other highlighted points we should discuss about is how they've tried not to overcrowd the island like they did Palm
So
Jumeirah.
less villas, right?
Yes, actually both villas and of course the shoreline apartments. We do not know right now what exactly will come on the trunk.
Okay.
But one thing for sure, as we spoke to one of the heads in Nakheel, they will not create the same chaos, the overcrowding of buildings and hotels on the trunk like they have done in Palm Jumeirah. I think it will be much more of an exclusive, a smooth flowing trunk area compared to what we see in Palm Jumeirah.
It's amazing that I feel like now I'm going to be part of History 2.0, and that you were part of the first story that really helped people to know about Dubai, right? Between the Burj Khalifa and this, I believe, really.
Of course, Gigi, I mean, imagine 2002 when there was nothing in Dubai. And when the news was out that Palm Jumeirah was going to be launched, one of the 8 wonders of the world, people did not hesitate to invest. Imagine at that time, when you had nothing to prove that your money is safe in this country. Imagine now where Dubai has nothing to prove to people, when you could see what's out here, where Dubai has built a city within a city in a span of 22 years. People should have no doubts that Palm Jebel Ali will definitely out-success the original Palm Jumeirah.
Well, they recently had their launch of the villas, and the pricing was starting
around 2,000 dirham per square
square
foot,
foot.
which is amazing.
Yes.
You're looking at 2,000 dirham today, for example, in Dubai South for an apartment today, you're paying 2,000 dirham per square foot. So how could you go wrong by paying 2,000 dirham per square foot
Such an exclusive,
in an exclusive
iconic,
island?
right? So exclusive with the water. I mean, I had seen some videos of our sales directors at Nakheel. They had gone to visit the site. And just the sand against the water, and how unique it is when you're on these fawns, right?
Yes.
And that exclusivity and that beauty. So for the end user, for someone who wants to experience this very elite lifestyle, and to be able to say you live or have an address, I mean, to be able to say your address is at the Palm, and for our investors who want to have a slice that missed out on the Palm Jumeirah opportunity early stages. And obviously we know the early stages are the best time to get into any off-plan project.
Exactly.
So
because every time when they do come and release or launch, I should say, a whole different phase, please do bear in mind that the price per square footage keeps going higher each time. And Gigi, you just brought up the point about how interesting it would be for our end users to come and use their properties when they're visiting Dubai. But let's talk about the investors who have no intentions of either living in it or even coming to Dubai, because as you know, most of our American investors,
so most of them haven't even come here.
Yeah, they will never come
Which
here.
they should come to Dubai.
Exactly. But let them please bear in mind, Gigi, that this is not a short-term investment. This island will take time to be full-fledged up and running. So if you're thinking about coming and investing to assume that in 3 years I could just flip and make 100% premium,
this isn't the one.
This isn't the one.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sit and marinate on this one.
Yes.
I would say minimum, Gigi, to be on a conservative side, 8 years.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion, because the miracle that we face in Palm Jumeirah will not be here. You know why? Because back in those days, market was not regulated. So every owner had the right to get up and sell and charge whatever they felt was right to sell their home. But today, we have regulations. You cannot just simply get up and flip your property. A certain amount has to be paid in order to do that. So there's a lot of factors that come in place. So people back in those days were treating Palm Jumeirah like a stock market.
Yes.
This is not a stock.
Yeah.
And it is very important for investors to keep that in mind, because this is not everybody's cup of tea.
No.
This requires it has a niche investor market for itself. So if you're planning to come in thinking you're slick, sly, I will play this out like I play the cryptocurrency or the stock market, no, please.
Not Palm. Not the Palm.
Not the Palm.
Nope.
Exactly.
Well, that was beautifully stated. I love that you bring your perspective of the personal experience with that. And we'll share some of the videos that we have of behind the scenes at the showroom and at Nakheel, and show as much as we can for our interested investors, and not just the investors, for those who want this address to live in, because I know I would if I could.
Tell me about it.
So with that, thank you, Ahmed, for
Always a
joining
pleasure,
us
Gigi.
today on this topic.
Yes, indeed. Anytime.
And please make sure to stay tuned and subscribe. I actually will add my newsletter link in the description so that you can stay updated for when there are going to be the new launches upcoming in Palm Jebel Ali. And remember that with Nakheel, because they are one of the largest developers in the UAE and one of the most respected and the highest in demand, and that this is so exclusive, that you have to be strategic with talking to your agent ahead of time to prepare and to secure that EOI and to be ready, because this is not something that is going to sit around and wait, right? So that's one of the most important things. So with that, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Dubai Connect podcast. Thank you.